we'll give it a minute more and then get on our merry way. All righty, official call to order under the rule of Andy Szekeres. So get ready for this wild ride today.
Right, I will do roll call and then Andy, I will share the screen.
Perfect.
All right, it is 7 o'clock. Vice Chair Andy Szekeres.
Here.
Maggie Burns.
Present.
Bryn Dunning.
Here.
And Bryn, when you are able to, if you can turn on your camera. I don't know if you've got.
Yes, can you give me like 5 minutes?
Definitely.
Okay, thank you.
And Edie Hughes is joining now too. So Dina Phelps.
Here.
And did I get all the members? Scott Gilbert.
Here.
And City Council member Chelsea Noonenkamp.
Present.
And Inglewood School Liaison Dwayne Tucker.
Present.
And let me, moving Edie Hughes over to panelist. And staff, we have Director Christina Underhill.
Here.
All right. Did I get everyone?
Looks like it.
Okay. And then Edie, if you're able to turn on your camera also. Thank you.
All righty. Does anyone have any changes or additions to the minutes before we move to approval?
Don't click leave. You got the video on. Yeah, you're good.
Great. I'll go ahead and move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Right. Thank you.
Right. Move to approve. Everyone, aye, if you agree.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Alrighty, I will take that as approval. Does not appear we have anyone from the public, so
We
I
do
will
not.
turn it over for library statistical support.
All right, and Bethany just joined.
Oh, great.
Sorry, I had a little trouble getting myself logged onto my computer today. Let's see. I gotta turn on my camera somehow. How do you turn this on here? Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so we're just going into, I guess, the statistical report first, and hopefully everybody got the updated version that I sent a second time, hopefully successfully to you all, because I forgot to include that incident report section. So I'm working ahead to make sure I don't forget those next time. So I've got those blank ones inserted in there. Okay, so we had a full month of service for July, with the exception of the 4th of July when the library was closed for the holiday. I don't know why there wasn't any numbers for physical visitors in July 2021. Maybe the library was closed to the public during that month. I'm not sure, but I noticed that that was blank. But we had a good amount of visitors during that last month, over 12,000. Good number of website views and catalog views. Facebook seems to be holding pretty steady, and Instagram is definitely growing. So I actually added this in. I don't remember if I added this in last month, but I may have mentioned it. in the action report, but I decided to add a line item here too, just to indicate, the month over month engagement for our Instagram page too. So I just inserted that right there below the Facebook one. Total patrons registered, just over 31,000, 20,000 that are Englewood residents. And our collection size is growing. So we're just a little over 66,000. And I did want to mention that we probably will continue to see some good increases over the next couple of months because of the retirement of the former technical services or collection development specialist. We had a gap in work time that certain items were being ordered. So now that we have Matt brought us in that role, he's been catching up with a lot of the ordering. So we are seeing a bit more ordering than we might normally do all in one go, because it's a little bit of catch up from the previous couple of months. The Marmot collection size is just over 4.2 million. And then our meeting room sessions and study room sessions continue to be really strong. So 43 for meeting rooms and 223 for study rooms. Circulation, the physical holds. Again, I think that these numbers are a little bit dwindling because people can just come in and get their stuff. And as a side note, the consortium that we're in Marmot, we did get an annual report from Marmot, I think at the end of June, maybe. So within the consortium, there's lots of member libraries who borrow and lend each other books. And Englewood Public Library is actually a net lender. So we lend more books than we borrow from member libraries. So to me, that sort of means that we have a lot of the materials our library users want when they come to Englewood Public Library. So they're not having to request as many things outside of our immediate library. So that's just a little side note. Total circulation, close to 8,000 for the month, which is really good. Summertime is usually really busy, so I expect those numbers to be kind of up there. And then Hoopla and Overdrive are still being used strongly, and Canopy actually had a lot more than last year. And then Access 360 is dipping a little bit. And I think that's a little bit because of the type of content during the summer isn't being used as much there. Information services. Questions answered was a total of 4,416. The breakdown of this was 2,022 questions in circulation, 1,930 questions in reference, so that's adult reference near the computers, and then 464 questions at the children's desk. And I will say that sometimes the children's numbers are going to seem low because if there's not somebody at the children's desk, those questions are being asked at circulation. So those interactions are being recorded at circulation. We are in the process of fine-tuning how we're going to collect information using the DART system. So we're going to be finalizing how we kind of categorize the questions, because like the generic broad ranging categories didn't seem to really fit to me and the other librarian supervisors. So we're going to kind of fine tune those, and that will be rolling out to the staff to use in September. So we'll have actually even more, probably starting in November, really, we'll have a full month's record of some really detailed and like definitive question statistics. Internet usage is still really strong, just over 2,000 sessions, and then volunteer hours, 232, the bulk of which were from the teen volunteers this summer. In July, teens volunteered 214 hours, and we had 18 hours of adult volunteers. We have had some recent interest in a few adults asking about volunteering. So we're working on kind of formalizing the volunteer program for a process for like people giving us their interests and their availability, and then coming up with tasks and projects that they can help us work on. So we are trying to grow the adult volunteers a bit more. Programs, Children's had 47 programs in-house with just over 1,400 attendees. Outreach programs was 4, and that had 65 attendants. The outreach programs are the visits that Kimberly does to a local preschool. So just wanted to make sure to clarify what those outreach visits are during the summer. And the total 51 programs, just over 1,500 attendants. Young adult had 13 programs with 100 teens in attendance. Adult programs, we had 21 programs with 110 attendees. And then just dropping down to the incident reports, we just had 1 verbal warning issued and 3 exclusions. 2 of those exclusions stemmed from the several verbal warnings we had given and issued during June, and that behavior just escalated to a degree where we felt those individuals were really violating the standards of behavior, and they were excluded for 1 for 45 days and then the other 2 for 90 days. So that is the quick run through of the statistics. Does anybody have any questions or comments on any of those?
I have a quick question on just the large jump in registered folks. It's almost 2,000. Is that sort of do you know what that's attributed to?
So we were seeing a lot of people were starting to come in July, and we were issuing so many library cards, and a lot of it was people's accounts didn't exist anymore, and that was if they had stopped coming to the library due to COVID and they hadn't had any activity on their card in any way, nothing outstanding on the cards. After 1 year's worth of inactivity, that kind of purges out of the system. So once they get purged out, they have to be re-entered. Okay. So I really think a lot of that has to do with people are starting to come back in person to the library and just have to register for cards again. We are going to be, September is National Library Card Sign Up Month. And we're working on making some plans to do some outreach events in the community to encourage people to sign up for library cards. So hopefully we'll have, in the month of September, a real good jump too, and reach people who aren't already coming into the library or planning to come to the library, so we can get some information out in the community and get some more registrations.
What will that outreach look like?
Right now, as we've kind of been brainstorming the places we'd like to target, we're hoping to coordinate with the staff at the Englewood Rec Center as well as Malley Senior Center to reach out to the folks that use those senior centers, because we want to focus on the outreach being within the city of Englewood. So we thought the rec centers would be a good place to start. And then we were thinking about a third location at one of the senior living facilities that we do our homebound delivery program at. So we have to still contact the appropriate people and set up a day and time where we can have a few hours to be in their like entry area to do the sign up drive.
Oh, nice. Are you going to be signing people up at the block party?
I don't know if we're going to have registration at the block party yet. We've been going back and forth about how busy it might be that we're just not sure if we're going to have the right infrastructure to do it, because we're not sure that we can access our integrated library system remotely when we're outside of the building. And so that way we have to do kind of a different record keeping system, and we expect there to be a lot of people there. And so we kind of don't want to risk being super busy, a lot of people around, and then missing information and messing things up. But we're working on testing the access of Sierra, our integrated library system, outside of the building to see whether or not that would actually be a viable place for us to do signups. Because it would be great. People at outreach events always ask, oh, can I get a library card with you? Yeah, so we want to be able to say yes to that if we can. So we're working on seeing if that's going to be a viable option.
Okay. Good luck. I hope it is.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. if there's no other questions for the statistical report, we can move into the action plan. And I'm really excited to share that I am making progress on updating the library's website, and the 2022 action plan is finally live on the website. I know it's 8 months late, but I'm really excited to have learned how to do that so we can keep a lot of this information updated on the website so people can access it. Okay, so I finally have it organized. So all the older updates are in black. So everything that's in red is new. So launch the new microsite within the city website is the first update I have on there. And that is just about the meeting I had this afternoon with our digital marketing and content specialist, Lucia. She helped me a ton to understand how to navigate the kind of administrative side of the website. So I'm really excited about that. And we discussed the plans for the microsite and kind of what we need to do on the Librarian for preparation. So we will be, myself and all the library supervisors will be discussing the groundwork we need to do next Friday, and we'll be working on that with some feedback from the staff through the rest of August and all of September. And we'll be meeting again with Lucia in October to assemble the framework and content for the microsite. And she said from that point, depending on how much content we have, it could take, up to 4 to 6 weeks at the most. So I'm hoping that we'll be really well organized with the content we would like to include so that we could have the microsite kind of rolled out by, end of November at the latest, I think. So I for a while was thinking this launch the microsite by the end of 2022 was sort of out of reach because I really didn't have a strong understanding of what needed to happen. But after my meeting this afternoon, I feel really confident we'll have a microsite done by the end of the year. And if you would like an example for what that looks like, if you go to Pirates Cove and Broken Tea, both have microsites, and looking at their sites made it a lot easier for me to kind of envision what we're going to work towards for the library. So I'm really looking forward to that. The next one about the study for current library hours and services, I just wanted to share the update that the kind of mini survey link and QR code was published in the current Englewood Citizen issue. So that is going out. I don't know if it's been mailed out yet. I don't know if any of you are Englewood. Did you just get it today? Okay, yeah, we were expecting it out either last week or this week. We haven't gotten our copies. Yay. Okay, that's it. Yeah, we haven't gotten our copies in the library yet, but those were just sent out. So I'm hoping to see, some more responses as people might see that little ad in the book. It should be on the second page. And then also we have our new patron experience librarian, Kerry Watson. She is an existing employee and transitioning into this full-time position. She will officially begin her role next Monday, August 15th. And so with her, we'll be planning some more surveys and like data analysis of our people counter information. So we'll still continue to collect that. And really, I think that a lot of the information that we want to look at for this particularly revolves around, the need to be open on Sundays. And so we're really going to have to look at this data all the way through the end of this year and early into next year too. So this one is going to take a little longer to kind of get all the way through. Oh no, this is the next page on the back. And then moving through, I think our next update is under adult services on honing in existing services for patrons experiencing homelessness and economic need. Last month, Corinne, the new adult services librarian, was in contact with all the service providers who come to the Resource Connect event on Mondays, just reconfirming their participation and the frequency that they plan to attend the event, whether it's every Monday one Monday a month, what have you. So she's getting that kind of all updated. And she's been making some updates to our published materials and like our printed materials and the website calendar to include links to the partners that are present each week. And we actually are moving it down from Hamden Hall into the library over the last couple of months. It's felt really chaotic having everything happening upstairs because there's not a way for the library to really consistently support the partners who are there and then the clients that are coming in that might need to then transition down to the library to get a card or follow up and do something on a computer. So we are finding that it's going to be beneficial for our community partners and the people who come to seek services and then the library to all be in the same space so that we can kind of coordinate assisting people a lot better. So that started on August 1st. So going forward, we're just going to keep it down in the library. And we actually may have times where we're using both meeting rooms, depending on how many community partners we have with us on a given Monday. But we really feel like we can just better keep track of how many people participate and attend, and then support the community partners with things that they might need help with if they're right there in the library. So that's actually a good thing. And then we're going to work on doing some different promotions within the community to other organizations that could share that we have this kind of one-stop event for people seeking assistance. And then
I have a real, sorry to interrupt, real
yeah,
quick
sure.
question on adult services. So it looks like there were only a handful of adult. Does the adult service numbers include the folks that are attending the Resource Connect, or is that in?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So it's a pretty minimal number based on at least the last month. It's 21 folks, or
it was 21 programs
per event at least.
Yeah. And
okay.
So, and that's the thing, that's the other hard thing about Resource Connect is we can't as easily get up there to kind of see how things are going. And so it is kind of hard to keep track of how many people are coming in to attend Resource Connect. And the service providers kind of only keep record of who they actually provide a service to. And so that's the other thing Corinne has talked to them about is even if you don't enroll them in something in your program, try to keep track of just anyone you give information to, because even if they're well, we can't help with what you're looking for, but they might have recommendations for something else. And that's a valid interaction and service, because now that person can leave and say, oh, now I know where to go, or I'm going to make an appointment for this next week because that's when this agency will be here. So that's the other thing we're trying to do is kind of get a better sense of the number of people coming into the Resource Connect event seeking information, services, and support. Because I don't think that we've had a really true sense of how many people are going in or not. And that's the other thing too. We think if it's in the library, the people that are already down there that might just not be picking up on what Resource Connect is, that could use services, might be more likely to go in because it's right there where they're already at. So, yeah, and we're hoping to kind of freshen up the offering of, well, I think I'm talking about that in the next one, but we're working on kind of changing up the adult services lineup of programs a little bit to try to get more people in attendance at things. And I mean, 20 programs is not even really that much. And one of those was a rescheduled program from June that I had to hold in July. So really there was just 20.
Yeah, just looking at sort of an ROI of staffing and sort of effort, it seems like there's growth opportunities, and if we're undercounting because we're not sort of counting correctly. But I think, looking at it, I think maybe going forward, it'd be helpful to know sort of what's attending sort of the actual adult focus classes versus the Resource Connect stuff, just so we have an idea of
kind of separated.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it needs to be sort of, I mean, it could be rough numbers. I don't think it needs to be anything fancy, but if you're putting on 10 sort of adult programs that are not Resource Connect and they're drawing 1 or 2 people sort of each, it's helpful for us to know how we can sort of promote them in the community or share them or, help draw sort of attention, sort of lean on this group to sort of leveraged our networks, because I know we've sort of done it with, if we just have a better idea of what you're sort of trying to quote unquote fill, I use that as in air quotes. But I think help us talk about it with our networks and drive folks to what you sort of need filled. Because some of us sort of live in a world that, I may not have all the connections to the young people, but I, work with a lot of sort of adult organizations in the metro. So I think I can help with that, but I think it would just be helpful in the future, but don't go out of your way.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing too. We have at least 2, previously 3, because one of them just informed us today that they're not going to continue to meet at the library. But we had 3 outside groups that we've been working with where they actually lead the programming. So just from a staffing perspective, it's not really anything that we're putting out, but we did have a daytime writing group 2 times a month, and that was really, she had one attendee every time, and we had been because the library does a writing group in the evening, which is better attended. And so we have been discussing what are we going to do with these 2 writing groups. But this woman who is leading it, she came to us today saying that she wanted to just discontinue her meetings here at Englewood Library, that she lives kind of far away and she only has one person that's been coming. So we were like, okay, that's fine, because really I think it is fine, and it frees up the room for us to use it for other purposes or make it available for the public. So that actually segues really nicely into the last update for adult services, about how the changes that we're making for our fall computer classes. We are going to be doing a computer basics the first Saturday of every month, because that's really the highest demand item. Our computer space, like the tech lab where we do the computers, accommodates 8 students. And the first time I did one of these, I had 8 students. So, and they want to keep practicing the more basic introductory things. They don't want Microsoft Advanced. So we're making that change to the computer classes to really meet the needs of the people who are seeking computer instruction. And then the 3rd Saturday of the month will be a more, specific type class, such as Microsoft Word, but just the basics. And then we're doing a Google Drive and an introduction to Canva. So that's what we have. That's just an example of how we're kind of trying to adjust what people actually want out of the classes that we're offering. So that's the first change that we've made. And then Corinne, over the last month, has met with all of the people who participate in the various groups, from the book clubs to the knitting group, and just to introduce herself, kind of get a sense of what they're looking for. And the book clubs are going pretty strong. They have a strong core group of members in each of the 3 different book clubs. And we'll start having a more consistent staff kind of moderator for those. And then, we just hired 4 new library associates. They're all going to be on the adult services team. So we're really excited about the experience and skills that these new folks are going to bring to our kind of programming lineup for adults. That's at the end of this page. This the outreach to local schools. This item is essentially complete, because that goal was intended to motivate us to get back into the schools, and hopefully that we would have the opportunity and the permission to go into the schools, which we were. So we had a really successful visits in the month of May to promote summer reading. But we do continue to conduct outreach to schools as we're able to just promote the library resources we have available, and maybe special programming, and try to encourage people to come get library cards for their kids. And then our last update on summer, actually it's not the last update on summer reading, because it's technically not over until July 14th, so we're almost there. But in July, there was just over 1,001 total youth signed up. And then 412 had completed the reading log 2 times. And then again, just about the teen volunteers and the number of volunteer hours. The registrations are more than they were last year, and like the completion rates are higher than last year, but still down a little bit from 2019. So not totally back to pre-pandemic numbers, but definitely increasing over the pandemic years. Yeah, and that's about it on the children's stuff for that. Any questions about any of the items in that action plan report?
The new library associates, are those new positions or filling vacant positions?
Filling vacant positions, yeah. So replacing some staff that had left over the last couple of months. The first 2 positions became vacant in June, and then we had 2 that were just vacant as of the last week. And then we have an anticipated vacancy with Kerry Watson's promotion. So that was 5 spots. We were trying to fill 5 spots. We only got 4. So
You mean you only got that many people you were willing to hire?
no, we only got 4 people. We offered positions to 7 individuals, but only the 4 accepted the positions. And so we're going to see if there is anyone else in this current recruitment that might be worth interviewing. And if not, we'll just reopen it to see if there's anyone. There was one person we were interested in interviewing that backed out of the interview because she was concerned about the drive from where she lives to Inglewood. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not that good in the geography here yet, so I don't really know. But she reached back out to me and asked some more questions about the position. So I'm wondering if she's having second thoughts. So I might reach out to her again to be like, if you would like to just interview for the position and talk a little more about it, like maybe we can answer some questions and then you can have an informed decision.
Well,
So
maybe
we'll
gasoline,
see.
maybe gasoline
Yeah.
dropping below $5 a gallon made a difference.
Yeah, true. So
You know, I realize you probably haven't been there long enough to see a trend, but if you have numbers available, I'd be curious to see how the turnover is doing like year over year. Because it just seems like I often hear about, oh, we've replaced these people, we've replaced that many people. And I just wonder how that trends over time and how it compares maybe to the library world around here in general.
yeah, I mean, I don't know that off the top of my head.
Sure, okay. I didn't expect you would.
Yeah. But anecdotally, what I will say from some of the feedback I've gotten from the staff is that, you know, at this time last year, or, you know, a little bit later in the year last year, there was a lot of people that were leaving the library because they were unhappy with the environment. The people we have lost in the last couple months since I've been here have been the replacements we've had to do. And including the teen services position, that's actually 6 associate positions. 3 of them need to be replaced due to promotion, which is, I think, a good thing. And then the other ones were due to retirement. And then we had 2 folks that were moving back out of state, that they, you know, just were, their life circumstances changed. They were changing schools, changing jobs for their spouse, and they moved back out to their home states.
Okay.
So just the reasons for people leaving this year, I feel like, are definitely more positive than previously.
Sounds that way, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm hoping, you know, and then I know with part-time positions, you're always going to have, you know, a higher level of turnover just in general, but hopefully we'll be able to remain pretty steady for a while.
You know, sorry, I don't mean to hold everything up, but like in the budget proposal that the library, you know, I mean, since we're well into budget season at the city, is the library trying to get more benefited positions instead of the non-benefited ones?
Yes, we did request 2 full-time positions, like lead library associate positions in this current budget proposal.
Cool.
It's, you know, still, we don't know that we're going to get them, but we're still making the case for why we need them.
Sure.
And I feel like, every so often I kind of encounter situations which I just kind of file away as like, this is more anecdotal evidence of, why we need more full-time staff, because then we wouldn't run into some of the problems we have really regarding staffing, just in general, and as well as, making the effort to have a designated person in charge scheduled during all open hours, because it is a little bit tougher to do with a limited number of people.
Certainly. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Any other questions before we move on to new business?
Oh, do you guys need to do the library budget report or the library board budget? Because I actually did have a question about that.
Yeah, so it looks like we have about $1,050 sort of left in the budget. I don't know, does that include the money that was given out for the library conference?
No, so that's deducted the 450 for the
Okay.
conference. So that's what's remaining after that.
Okay.
And I did talk to the library supervisors about some ideas that we might want to use the money for. And there was definitely several ideas that were shared, including, Halloween programs, the trunk or treat, the teen art contest, staff holiday breakfast. But what we really kind of kept circling back to was whether there was like a preference or a direction that the board would like us to kind of go with how we use these funds. Like, would you like to see them used more for programming for the public or for additional support for the staff and, things for the staff? And that was the question I had for all of you, is what would be kind of, and if there's no preference at all, we'll kind of figure out where we might have the biggest need.
Yeah, I can just sort of speak for myself, and then I don't know if anybody else wants to jump in. I think at least previously in the past, and from personally my opinion, I think we've sort of split it among sort of 50-50 roughly, at least from what I can remember, where we did some support of some of the public events to help with toys and candy for trunk or treat, and then I believe the staff breakfast and sort of staff appreciation. I know we're limited in what we can sort of provide to the staff in terms of gifts, and we can't provide gift cards or sort of supplemental funding in that aspect. But I know previously we've sort of been asked for, I believe it was trunk or treat, and maybe it was Easter. It feels like forever ago, and it was not that long ago. But I think in the past, I think it's sort of been split, sort of to support and show our appreciation, as well as sort of support some of the public event where there's sort of budgetary holes. But I'll sort of turn it over to maybe some of the folks that have a little more knowledge on this or differing opinions. But I think sort of, at least from my standpoint, however we can be the most sort of supportive with this pot of money, we just want to show our appreciation and support where we can.
Yeah, I would just say, really, whatever you guys think it is needed for, we are fine with that. Your recommendation, and trust your opinions, and know what the staff needs and what outreach can be done to the public. So really, I'm okay with, whatever your professional opinion is on where we can best use that money. I'm on board with that.
What is the spending each year on trunk or treat? Do you know, even roughly?
I think I don't think that we like pay a fee to participate.
Oh no, I just mean like for the goodies and
right.
stuff.
But I think for candy, I don't know how many hours it lasts, but for a busy event that would last more than 2 hours, you probably need about like $250 worth of candy at least, just based on my past experience with those types of events. And I feel like too, I don't know the exact dates either for the trunk or treat, but like I almost feel like if we did do some money for candy for trunk or treat, whatever might be left over could be used at the Jamboree event, which is in the library, because that is the last Saturday of October. So I don't know if Christina knows when the trunk or treat is, but I don't know.
It looks like it's Saturday, October 22nd, and I think your guess was spot on with what we spent last year for candy, which was $250.
Okay.
I believe we're going to do it the same, which is, it means it's a free ticketed event. So we have a head count of how many kids or families are actually coming, which helps us budget our candy allocations a little bit better.
Sure.
So anyways, yeah, I think that would be a fun one to help support, and then roll over whatever is left over into the next event in the library.
Yeah. And I like the idea too of kind of splitting the funds in half, sort of. So like if we've already done almost a third of the money for staff support, maybe a third definitely for programs, and then like splitting another third, but a little bit, or putting just the rest towards programming. I think that might be a good way to go with it.
Is there a staff holiday breakfast if we don't support it? Is it something that happens anyway, but just comes out of a different budget pot?
Possibly. I mean, don't totally know, but possibly.
Because I do like those, like morale boosting things.
Yeah.
Well, some things I've had morale boosting things inflicted on me that anti-boosted my morale, but I who would disagree with the breakfast, right? That's
right. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that there are some funds that are allocated for food, and I was talking with Celine and Kimberly, and they let me know that wasn't necessarily meaning food for programming, but like other things that we might put on with, probably for the staff more likely. And we did kind of adjust our budgeting for 2023 to put funds where we know we're going to use them, like in a pot for food, and for, there was something else called like, maybe it was employee appreciation or something. I don't know. But like there previously wasn't any money budgeted for that for 2022. So we kind of adjusted some of the budget areas and reduced some of the places where we really didn't end up spending the money that was allocated there, and put it in the places where we do want to, spend it and have purposeful spending. So I think certainly we're planning for that better budget wise going forward in terms of how the money was allocated kind of on the line items for the budget detail. But I think that there's still some money left this year for things too. And like some of the money for the food was like for going away parties for people or whatever when people were leaving. So some of that money came out of that previously too.
Well, we're getting a nice head start this year. I mean, I've been on the board 6 years, and too many of those years it was like the December meeting we were spending $3,000 on fidget spinners in desperation. So I mean, how would people feel about kicking in $250 to the trunk or treat, and maybe we could get a better idea next meeting of what staff's priorities are?
Sure.
Yeah, I think we should maybe hold it till the next meeting, because you're not going to need that budget until a little bit closer. Because it looks like it's 3 hours. I don't know if it was 2 or 3 hours last year. But yeah, I think I'm fine with that. Or if we want to sort of wait until we have a few more board members to sort of get opinions on it. I know I was not here last meeting. I apologize. But if you need it now, we can absolutely to vote on it if that's helpful.
No, I mean, we don't need to do that tonight, and it might be better just to allocate all the money in one go. And so like I can go back and say we're definitely going to do at least 250, and maybe we look at the time frame and say maybe we want 300 for trunk or treat, and then kind of look and see which of the events we would like to, prioritize as having some additional funding from the library board, and then go from there. And then I'll have kind of a more complete kind of proposal for the dollar amounts and the events it would go towards. And we can, then you guys can vote on that next month and make a final decision in September.
I think that sounds good. Don't be stingy on the candy.
Yeah, definitely.
And get good stuff too.
Right?
Not the really cheap stuff.
Right?
Get the good
No
stuff.
Smarties in our basket. Absolutely none whatsoever.
All right. Yep. Then we'll definitely plan for that. And I'll make sure to get Kimberly's input because I think that I like the idea of doing the teen art contest too. I need to learn a little bit more about what that entails, because I think that's a good event too. All right. So that's good. We have a plan, and we'll work on putting together a more formal kind of suggestion and specific dollar amounts. Okay, then the next thing, the first new business item that I had was just to share some dates coming up where the library is going to have a late open, and one day where we're going to have a full day closure. On Friday, September 16th. We're going to have a late opening at 11 a.m. So instead of 9:30, we're going to open at 11 a.m. And that's to accommodate an all staff meeting that I've been trying to figure out how to hold. But it really just came down to I need to have time to get all the part-timers there at one time to have a successful all staff meeting. So we're going to do that from 9 to 10:30. On the 16th, and then that 10:30 to 11 time will allow the staff that are staying on to work for the day to complete their preparations prior to opening. And that's really going to be, that meeting will be just to kind of do a formal, I guess, sort of introduction of myself in a way, and just kind of get to talk to everybody all at once, share some announcements about things that are coming up. We plan to roll out our use of the DART statistics collection that morning as well, and introduce everybody to that and show them how it works. And then we're probably going to have like a little coffee and bagels or something. So just something to just bring everybody together. We'll have our new hires on board. We'll have our newly promoted staff in their new positions for a little while too. And I'll just kind of bringing everybody together for that all staff meeting. And then the all day closure that we'll have is going to be on Friday, October 28th. And that will be an all day closure to do, have a staff development day. We'll have, kind of a group meeting in the beginning of the morning, kind of just talking about where the library has been and where we're going over the next year as a large group. And then we'll have some breakout sessions for different learning opportunities. I'm hoping to recruit a few of the staff to do some presentations to their colleagues about some of the resources we have online that others might not be as familiar with. Using, and so that they can understand them better themselves, and also to impart information onto the library patrons on what we have available. And we'll have some team building activities, lunch, and then we're trying not to go too heavy on like kind of mandatory like training, things like CPR, and we're trying to get away from that kind of like safety training a little bit in terms of like that kind of stuff. We're going to try to focus it more on kind of building communication skills, teaching people about how to use some of the technology and resources we have available that we can share with patrons, and just kind of get staff feeling like they have an opportunity to learn stuff too. This will also be a week after the Colorado Association for Libraries conference. So hopefully those of us that are going to be going to that will be able to bring some stuff back to share with the rest of the staff too, with like just new ideas and exciting news in the library world. And I'm thinking about whether or not we want to have some type of outside speaker come to this event or not, but I don't want to make it seem too, I don't know the right word, but I want to give the staff a chance to kind of come together, work together as a team, and just kind of strengthen their relationships as co-workers and their knowledge that they utilize for serving the public. So that will be the last Friday in October.
Great. I don't hear any comments on that. Wanted to sort of open it up to folks to talk about sort of how everyone's feeling with COVID and now monkeypox and all the plagues that are upon us right now about do you want to go back in person? Do you want to stay sort of virtual, hybrid, sort of how everyone's sort of feeling about sort of September meeting, and sort of just open it up to folks to see how everyone's feeling. If you do want to get together in person or stay virtual or try to do a split, so we can sort of just plan and accommodate from the city staff side.
That meeting is going to be held when? September
13th.
September 13th.
Well, I need to be virtual that day. I'll be out of town for work. So if we could do hybrid or virtual, I would appreciate it, just so I can still attend.
Does anybody else have super strong feelings?
I like the idea of hybrid for accommodating attendance. I will always go in person if I can, but people have concerns or conflicts, and I would certainly err toward attendance over anything else. So I think if we can work hybrid, I think that would be cool.
I look to the maestro. Debbie, is that doable for you?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we can make whatever you guys want to do work. So not a problem.
Great. So we'll plan on hybrid and probably continue just having these discussions. We want everyone to feel comfortable, but also know that it's nice to see other humans that when we leave our houses. And I think we work a little better in person, but I think we'll continue hybrid, or at least for this meeting, and then just add it as sort of a reoccurring, just so everyone feels comfortable. But at any point, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to reach out to Marie or myself, and happy to chat about it, to make it as accessible as possible, both to the public and to us. And then I think that's it for new business. It looks like there's one item for old business, which is the Patron Code of Conduct.
Yeah, and I realized this evening too that we didn't include a copy of that in the board packet this time, but we did have that last month. And I don't know, Andy, if you got a copy last month.
I do not see it, but that does not.
Yeah, no, I mean, because I don't know if you got one from last month or not, but and I can certainly email that out to everybody again if we need to. Wait, hang on. Because basically, or maybe it was, I guess it was 2 months ago, because Andy, you were there the last time we kind of talked about getting the draft together. So what I did was last month I did share the draft, and I can just really quickly email that out to everybody in case you don't have it.
Sure, thank you.
Just a quick second.
Bethany, I'm pulling it up. So.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I can share it on my screen. Is that better? Because I have it.
Yeah. Let me.
Okay, I'll do that real quick.
If you could also email it out, that would be fabulous.
Okay, I'm just gonna make sure I don't send a bad file like I did earlier today. So I just want to double check that I get the right one. So,
I thought that was. I thought that was funny. It was.
I think it was because I like updated it and I tried to like replace the file on my drive, and I was still picking the old one somehow.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's. Let me pull this up, and so I just emailed it out to everybody, but I'll pull a copy up right now. Am I able to share my screen, Debbie?
You can now. Yeah, I made you co-host.
Okay. All right, give me a quick second to find it. To open. No, that's sports stats. Sorry. Bad conduct. All right. Let me find oh my goodness. I kind of miss not having my two screens in the office because my laptop on its own is so tiny.
Bethany, if not, I've got it right here.
Who can share? Oh, that's something else. Here we go. Return code of conduct. There we go. Can you guys all see that?
Yes.
Okay. So this draft was, what we did was with the city attorney, we worked on compiling the items that were on the original library code of conduct, which I believe I mentioned before. That was really the like jumping off point for creating the city's standards of behavior. So many of the items in the standards of behavior, or sorry, in our original document are covered in the new standards of behavior. But we did know that we had a few specific things that were for the library setting in particular over some of the other city facilities. And so what we did was we had kind of the same intro and then state that everyone at Englewood Public Library is subject to the standards of behavior and provided a link for it because this document will be shared on the website. And the standards of behavior are posted in 2 different places within the library. And then it just kind of talks about how that the staff can suspend people's privileges or services based on violation of, tier 1 or tier 2 behaviors as outlined in the standards of behavior. And then that there's these additional items that are specific to the library. So the guidelines for unattended children, for sleeping, misuse of library furniture, prohibitive equipment, and abandoned property. So the unattended children, I think is a little bit more detailed than it might have been previously, because we did kind of specify that if kids were under 10, they just had to be with an adult somewhere in the building, but that children under 5 had to be attended to at all times by an adult. The sleeping item, we did kind of adjust this a little bit with the guidance from the city attorney to kind of highlight that, what the purpose of using the library is, and that laying down, sleeping in the library can block access to services or facilities and use of furniture by other patrons. So if a person is like laying on the floor or like puts 2 chairs together to kind of lay on it like a couch or a bed, a bed, that those types of things we would not allow. But if a person was sitting at a table in a chair and they just kind of like nodded off a little bit, we're not going to be pestering them like, you need to wake up, because that's like a bad use of our time too, to nickel and dime people for something like that. So really, it's just been a matter of making sure if someone falls asleep in the library that they're not impeding access to walking through an area or using furniture in an appropriate way. The biggest thing we have had to do is tell people if they're sitting at a computer and they fall asleep that they need to just maybe sit in a chair and come back to the computers later, so that the computer can be available for somebody who's actually going to use it. So this has actually been working a lot better, and our security specialist TJ has really enjoyed a little bit trying this out a little bit more to not have to feel like he's got to go around and like wake everybody up every 5 minutes. There's not a ton of people sleeping in the library, but sometimes people nod off. And we felt like we were penalizing people for doing such. And if they weren't really bothering anybody, what was the harm in letting them be? So that was the change for the sleeping. The misuse of library furniture, basically that's just like not using the furniture in unintended ways. So like, again, not laying on tables or putting things together to create like a bed, not putting your feet on things and stuff like that. And then the prohibited equipment, this is kind of same as before, where because the higher incidence of blocking a common area or walkway, or the exits, or the entry doors, that there's no bicycles, wagons, shopping carts, and that skateboards, roller skates, and scooters may not be ridden in the library because those are more compact, like you can carry your skateboard and you just can't ride it. And then there's the exceptions are for ADA assistive devices and strollers or wagons that are transporting children. And then I can't remember off the top of my head what the wording was about like belongings that were left behind. But we just kind of made it, the wording just be, pursuant to this, municipal code, this is how unattended property would be disposed of. So a lot of things we do put in our lost and found and have a period of time for people to come and recover them. And then after so much time, if they haven't, then we just dispose of it. And then the number one question I got from staff as I asked them to review this was just what if there's a violation of these, items specific to the library, what is the consequence for that? And basically, these items that are specific to the library would just, if there's non-compliance with that, it would fall under a tier 1 item, which is failure to comply with reasonable staff requests. So a person could receive a verbal warning or an ejection if they're non-compliant with these items. And I'm actually that's one thing I am gonna put some wording in there, because one of the other staff said maybe we should include that says, either in that kind of introduction where it says, in addition, patrons shall comply with the following code of conduct specific to the library, and then have like a sentence that says, non-compliance with these items will result in a tier 1 behavior violation, or tier 1 behavior / conduct violation. So.
May I ask a kind of a niggling question here on the unattended children? When you say like a responsible adult must directly supervise all children under age 5, so that means like as of a kid's 5th birthday, they would not need direct adult supervision, right? It doesn't mean
Right.
5 and younger, it means younger than 5.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So like a 5-year-old could be like looking at picture books in the children's area while their responsible adult is looking at the new books in the circle, or pulling their items off the hold list. So it's like they could walk away from them, but they have to still be within the library. They can't go outside. And that's the difference between those two. And so like anyone so in theory, this is also saying, if you're 10 years old, you can come to the library by yourself without a parent. That
seems reasonable.
Yeah.
I like your the change on the sleeping policy, and I'm kind of a hard ass about behavior in the library, but I mean it does seem pretty harmless. And personally, I have fallen asleep in libraries because I like libraries. They're nice places. I kick back and read, and then I fall asleep. So, but no, I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that change.
Beth, can you clarify for me, is this still draft or is this already in effect?
No, it's still really a draft because we wanted to get like the approval of the library board before we would post this publicly. I've just been discussing some of these items, particularly the sleeping thing, with our library supervisors and our security specialists to see, does this work? Because if it's actually like kind of causes more problems to not actually be on top of people with sleeping, then maybe we should go back to how like just no sleeping period. But it is working in a positive way where we don't feel like we have to approach people multiple times, because that's the other thing too. Like if you're trying to tell somebody, please, be awake and alert, but then they doze off again and you have to ask them again. I don't know. It just feels like you're like needling them for a kind of a minor behavior problem. And then it just creates kind of a tense situation with the patron. But yeah, we haven't like officially put this into place. It hasn't been published on the website or anything.
Gotcha.
Would you like us to take a vote on this tonight, or would you like to sort of try it out for another month and us review it sort of next month? What's sort of your preference?
I feel really good with where it's at, and I just want to add that one sentence that kind of explains how the library specific items relate back to the standards of behavior. That's really the only added change I want to make to it. So it's really kind of up to the board members if you feel comfortable saying that you approve and endorse this new statement of patron conduct. But if you would like to look it over a little bit more and think about if there's any other questions, I'm happy to kind of keep it in this draft form until next month for a final vote. It's up to you guys. I can go either way.
I think it looks good. I would accept it just the way it is.
I would accept it with the addendum that you just mentioned, the sort of catch-all, non-compliance language.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I guess I'll move to approve with the addendum, this to be approved policy by the library board.
I would second that.
Okay, so we would need all in favor.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right. It appears we have unanimous passage of the folks.
All right.
Thank you.
Great. I think there's staff choice, if there's anything from the staff, and then I'll turn it over to the council member and the school board member liaison. Do you have anything from the staff first?
Yeah, I have 2 items, upcoming events. We've got the Silent Disco and Food Frenzy. It's this coming Friday, August 12th at the Civic Center from 6 to 10. It should be a really fun event, and some good food trucks are coming. And then the second event happening this month is the block party happening on Saturday, August 27th, and that's from 4 to 10 on the 3400 block of Broadway. So I believe the library may have a booth there as well, so come out and see your librarians. There's gonna be a ton of, alcohol is gonna be a lot different this year and better from what's happening. So come check out, they have some amazing drinks that'll be sold on the street as part of a festival permit that we were able to obtain. So that part's going to be just fun, I think, for people to partake in some alcoholic beverages. So anyways, lots of vendors, great entertainment. That's all we've got for August.
Hey, could I just ask a quick question? Are the food trucks all signed up already, or are you still taking them?
I believe we're full with food trucks.
Yeah.
If there is any openings, it would still be posted on the website.
Okay. I was just going to make a request of the city in general. And it seems like Parks Rec, Library, and Golf does a lot of these kind of events. If there was such a thing as a food truck where I could afford to get something for 4 grandkids without having to take out a bank loan, that would be fabulous. Food trucks went from the old Roach Coach days to being pretty pricey now. And so if there could sort of be an eye out for treats where parents wouldn't have to drag their kids away screaming, that would be great.
No, that's a great suggestion. I have yet to find a cheap food truck, so challenge everybody on here. If you happen to see somebody that is cheap, let us know and we'll contact them.
Yeah, I was at a Littleton event recently where there was like an ice cream thing, and the cheapest thing was $11. It's like, I can't drop $44 on giving my grandkids a treat.
No, they're expensive. The restaurants will be open as well, so there may be other options that are a little less expensive that you'll be able to partake in, at least for the block party. And Beth, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I was just gonna share about the block party, that the library will be there. The block party is from 4 to 10 p.m. The library is planning to just be there until 8 o'clock because we feel like after 8 o'clock, we're gonna lose our crowd. So we'll be active at our booth until 8 p.m. But that's
Great.
all I had.
Anything exciting from council?
Yeah, I feel like Scott gave a really great segue talking about a tight budget because we have one. We had a study session last night. We covered a couple of different items, but we did go over the proposed budget currently from the city manager based on everything that we have from the departments and everything we need for capital needs. So this is kind of the beginning of that process where now we will evaluate it. There will be a public hearing on the proposed budget. But if you were interested to know kind of where we're at in the city, I would encourage you to take a look at last night's meeting, and you will hear that we have about $1 million worth of just inflation this year. So we are all struggling with inflation. The city is as well. And it's going to be tough. And so if you have questions about how we're allocating resources or information that you would like, requests you would like to make, encourage you to participate in that process. There will be a public hearing in September on that. If you have questions about how that process works, always feel free to reach out to me, but that's kind of the main focus of council for the next several weeks. And then just awareness for this team that I will be traveling for work in September and unfortunately not able to join you, but really appreciate the hard work that goes into these meetings.
Do we have any update on the sort of redevelopment process and where that is?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's moving forward very slowly, but it's not stalled. We're still trying to do, well, not necessarily we, but all of the kind of different parties involved, the current lease owner, the redeveloper, are still having those conversations about what the future of that could look like. And I know that the leadership team within city staff is also moving forward with conversations about, okay, if this goes through, where does everyone go? What are the temporary locations? Kind of what does all the interim work look like? So it's something that is moving forward slowly, but still moving. So that's a good sign.
Cool.
I think also there's supposed to be another study session for council. I don't know if you know, Christina, I think it's September. We have another one coming up with community development. So we're going to get an update.
Yeah, I think it's the first Monday.
Okay, thanks.
Anything from the school district?
No, other than we had our all district kickoff today and school starts again on Thursday. All the kids will be back on Thursday. So great kickoff today, a lot of energy, got to meet a whole bunch of new folks in the district. So another school year ready to roll.
That just seems phenomenally early to me. God, early August. Oh my God. I'm glad I grew up when I did.
Anything from any of the board members before we adjourn?
I'll be 65 at the next meeting.
29 star.
Yeah.
No one ever ages after 29. 29
Okay.
star for everything. All right, I will move to adjourn at 8:12.
All right. Good seeing everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Good night.
Yeah.